Morning. My name's Annette Shelton, for those of you who I haven't met before. I know we have a lot of new faces here at church, but it has been a few years since I stood up here and shared about my daughter's rare autoimmune disease. She gave her testimony at that time and basically told how her health had brought her to her knees, almost to the point where she wanted to end her life. And God turned that around for her while she was at her lowest point in her life and brought her healing, as well as just a closer and renewed relationship with God. She continues to fight her disease with a renewed zeal. And of course, I look up to her, not just because I'm 5'2" and she's 6 foot, but to look up to your child is a wonderful thing, and see something in her that is admirable. She is truly a warrior in all senses of the word, where I think many would have just given up. She has continued to push through and accomplish her dreams. As you saw highlighted there in the video, throughout a lot of the pictures you saw rashes and things on the outside that just appear like, oh, well, that's just a rash. But what you don't see is on the inside. And so I'm going to touch a little bit about that. I read daily on post on a social media website for a support group for her illness, and some are in wheelchairs, some are unable to function off of continued oxygen therapy. And when I read each one of those posts, I say just another prayer of thanksgiving to God for sparing her those things. So just a little background on this story, because I know some of you may not have been here before. Jillian was diagnosed at a young age, at 15, with juvenile arthritis. That's considered an autoimmune illness, after having hip surgery, just a simple hip surgery that she never fully recovered from. For 5 years, we continued to follow a rheumatologist at UVA. However, no treatment fully covered her symptoms. No treatment fully relieved those. And at the end of 2019 and into 2020, she began experiencing severe muscle weakness. She wasn't able to do simple activities that a normal 20-year-old should be able to do. Walking, biking, and even getting dressed, taking a shower, getting out of bed became a challenge. So in July of 2020, fevers for 2 weeks brought us to the Duke ER. A week-long admission where they diagnosed her with a rare autoimmune disease called dermatomyositis, along with antisynthetase syndrome. So hundreds of tests were performed and sent to different specialty hospitals for confirmation. And this disease causes the body not to recognize its own muscle. So that's what you didn't see in the pictures. Muscle deterioration. Her body tries to destroy the muscle. So skin is most definitely affected, but her lungs, her heart are also the most damaged. Painful rashes, muscle damage, lung fibrosis are a result. And for those of you that don't know, that means scar tissue builds up in her lungs, and that affects her ability to breathe. So muscle damage, of course, that required lots of physical therapy to overcome. And of course, those painful rashes appear out of nowhere that cause her skin to burn, itch. No amount of scratching or creams really relieve those symptoms that you saw in the video. Since her diagnosis and her sharing her story here at New Prospect, she graduated with her bachelor's in exercise physiology from Lynchburg. She went on to graduate from graduate school with her doctorate in occupational therapy at Shenandoah University. She got engaged and, of course, married the love of her life. And now she's working as a licensed clinician at Tri-Cities Hospital in Hopewell, Virginia. Jillian got her acceptance letter to grad school just 1 week after she shared her story here about 4 years ago. And the God thing about that was when Jillian was at the height of her illness and the fight of her life, that was the beginning of her senior year in college, the rest of her classmates were applying to multiple schools to increase their odds of acceptance, because those spots were just highly sought after for the doctoral program that she needed. Most schools also had limited spacing. so you know that competition was really high. Well, when Jillian was well enough to focus on actually having a future, there was only one school left that was actually still accepting the applications. All the other schools had closed their application window, and of course, she felt crushed and kind of defeated, thinking that she had lost her opportunity. God, what do we do now? Some may have given up, but she kept pushing forward, and she applied to that one and only one school for graduate, for the doctoral program. One school left. There are only 30 slots for that program. And of course, all of them were filled. She got on the wait list, and of course, that wait list turned into an open position at the last minute with about 2 weeks to spare in order to get her paperwork and her financial aid together. And we found out that she was one of over 260 applicants. What was special about this school is that it would allow her to study remotely, because we were at that full year and a half after COVID, where most schools were requiring you to be present once again. So of course, this school, she had to attend one day in person, which was a full day from 8 to 5. Now keep in mind, Jillian has her monthly treatment still going on to manage her illness, and sometimes we had to visit Duke multiple times during the month for doctor's appointments and continued testing. So it was just what she needed. One other girl from the area of Amherst was also attending, so they got to commute one day a week and share some expenses. So it was the perfect solution so that she wouldn't have to go at it alone. So I think God actually allowed her to find that one right school at the right time to fit her need and her special circumstances. Is this coincidence? I think not. I think this is just evidence and comfort to know that we can trust our Father with our biggest hopes and dreams and decisions when we patiently wait on Him, and He sends us what we need at that right time. Since then, of course, it has not been all roses and butterflies. Since her diagnosis back in 2020, there have been many struggles along the way, and once all of Jillian's blood work was stabilized, about a year and a half into this, our insurance decided that she no longer needed the chemo drug that she was on that actually brought her disease into remission. So while that was confusing, at first we kind of celebrated at the chance this disease can be in remission. That's a great thing, or so we thought. It wasn't really a true remission, but just one that the drug was actually keeping her disease in check. So once that drug was removed, it kind of allowed her disease to sort of rear its ugly head once again. In the summer of 2023, she had some flares with her heart rhythm, and of course that was just the beginning. The fall of that year, she began to have about 6